Give everyone a little bit more time to roll into this call. Morning, everyone that's here.
Yeah, hi Mike. Can you hear me? Can you say something?
Good morning, everyone. This is going to be one of the first times we do this in this format, so let's work out some kinks really quick before we continue, and then we'll get started with our first public community call. So first things first, it sounds like some people can hear me and some people can't.
I can hear all of you just fine.
By a presentation.
Prepared.
I think I see what the issue is. Some people can't hear
Unfortunately,
my microphone.
unfortunately,
Okay, everyone. No rush. Let's give everybody just a minute. Check your Discord settings and your voice and your audio. Sometimes you need to make some adjustments for your microphone or your headset, whatever you're using, and that'll enable you to hear me easier. You can increase the volume, stuff like that, and then we'll get started. All right. Let's wrap everything up. Hopefully, everyone has figured it out, and let's go ahead and get started with our first public community call. So first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody. All right. Once again, working the kinks out. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Um, my name's Alpha. Uh, I'm one of the first ambassadors. I was part of the first cohort, along with my other lead ambassadors that you'll hear from today. Um, we were with Subspace very, very early when the team was in the single digits. Um, the Discord, the Telegram was in the hundreds, not the tens of thousands. So to see the growth has been incredible. It's been very special, and the things that we've helped do and have done have been great as well as the things that the community's done. So that being said, I'd just like to get basically a general idea of how this is going to go in the future, how we can improve things. Um, so just keep in mind as we're doing this call, if you have any suggestions, there will be a Q&A at the very end, and then you can either hold your questions for later, or we could voice them at another time. But right now, I'll just go over a quick outline of the call. We're doing our intro now. We're going to talk basically about the ambassador program. There's just going to be a little housekeeping really quick too. Just make sure you stay muted if somebody's talking. If you'd like to talk, there would be an opportunity at a later time when you can ask questions directly to the team or to the ambassadors if you prefer, or whatever you have. You could basically say something in the chat like, hey, I'd like to ask this question, or just ask a question, and we'll get to it eventually. We'll go through some updates from the ambassador teams and their their specialties, if you will. For instance, I typically deal with support. We have content, and we also have like ambassador onboarding and stuff like that. We'll also show some of our new ambassadors and their projects that they've done. So we had a bunch of new ambassadors in the last cohort, and in the interest of time, even though a lot of them were fantastic, we just took the top three, and we're going to let them present it to the public space and ask questions. We'll follow that up with updates from the Subspace team directly, led by, I believe Jeremiah is going to lead it today. And then we will do our Q&A. After that, we'll make this available, recorded publicly on our YouTube. If anybody missed it, so you can send it to a friend. And that'll be a wrap-up of our first public community call. So thank you for joining us. And I guess I will go ahead and get started with the support portion of this. All right. So basically, I'm, like I said before, I am the support community ambassador, the lead ambassador of support. So we were asked to present a short but sweet just presentation of what we've been doing as leads in our specific fields and how we're making Subspace in our community a better place. So as far as support-wise, the way that we're improving is we're basically have implemented with the team a layered template for improving the speed in which the community receives report. Um, that means that if you tag one of the ambassadors and ask for help, we'll give you a template or some information that you can help with. Basically, it makes it easier just to report all of the issues that you might be having with your operating system and your specifications. And then we can try to help because luckily we've been trained kind of by them showing us the things that we should look for, um, and just practice ourselves with the test net. And if we can't help, then we move it up to the next layer. And that helps with the engineers and the developers not getting flooded with things that maybe can be fixed easily with us. Um, and then that makes everybody's life a little bit easier. So, that being said, let's move on to the next thing, which is increased importance of promotion of our forum. So I'll show you a picture of this later, but the forum is extremely important. Um, it's basically it's going to be one of your best tools to get support. This is where primarily you'll find Subspace team members lurking about. While they do sit around on Discord and Telegram, it's much easier for them to locate a thread, a problem, an issue, address it, and answer it. And also, it makes it easier for you to search that issue because, as you know, trying to search messages in Discord and Telegram isn't always easy, especially the busier we get. Okay. The team has added 14 new community moderators. Uh, those moderators, you'll start seeing them soon. Justin mentioned this on the last office hours, but they'll basically make it a bit easier for those malicious actors that are, that everybody sees in crypto, maybe trying to get one over on the newer people. And so hopefully we could shut that down early. And this last one is a big one. Um, as we said, welcome to the public community call. The public community calls are going to be for feedback and updates. They used to be between ambassadors and the team. They use them to help us understand and be better tools, I guess, for the community. As if you don't know, Subspace's goal is always to transition this to a community-driven and run project at the very late stages of it. Um, think of how DAOs run and stuff like that. They want this to be self-sufficient. They they mentioned they will be there. They'll always be there to help, but ideally, Subspace should be run by its community. All right. So the next thing, really quick, layers of support. So these are the layers of support that I was talking about really quick. And just to move it along, um, you basically want to tag one of three tags in the major mediums that we have. You're going to use support at support L1 on the forum, at ambassador on Discord, and at ambassador on Telegram. So those two are pretty easy. This one's a little bit unique, but if you just start typing at support, you'll see it. So when you need help on one of the forums or anywhere else, please tag us here. Ambassador, we have tons of ambassadors and we continue to get more. We'll go start the process of helping you and we'll go from there. Okay. As I said, these are the tags that you could see. Like for instance, this is me right here. These are all my profiles across, except for on Discord, it doesn't show, but these are my profiles across the mediums. But you'll see a support tag on the forum. That's how you know specifically it's one of the support team members. For Subspace staff, you'll see the Subspace logo, and it'll usually say Subspace staff like here where it says support. On Discord, you could tag any of these ones right here, and we'll attempt to help you. Usually the ambassadors and the lead ambassadors will be a little bit more helpful because these are the ambassadors that we're just onboarding. And then obviously here on Telegram, you'll see the ambassador tag as if you would see admin or something like that next to somebody's name. That's how you know it's going to be one of us trying to help you. So the forum is going to be your new best friend. We really want people to try to use the forum as much as you can. It's very simple to use. You do not have to make an account if you don't want. But we strongly suggest it because it basically makes it just significantly easier to find a specific issue in a post and follow that thread. Just like you're searching on like a Polkadot or a Ethereum forum or something like that, or a very tidy DAO. Even if you think back to before crypto, when you would look on a forum, like maybe if you're looking for support for a specific electronic you had or anything like that, it's much easier to find a single post with a specific quality. Telegram and Discord are very difficult to sort through questions, and a lot of the times, if most of us are asleep or something like that, your questions might get drowned, and they just don't get found as easy, even though we're doing our best to try. So there's no account needed to find answers on the forum, like I said, and we just encourage you to make one though if you'd like to. And as I said before, the subspace is going to be the forum is going to be the prime area where you will find staff members and ambassadors looking to assist you. We already went through tagging support. Right? You'll see this very often when an ambassador is helping you. We'll just give you a block asking you, hey, could you give us this when you say I'm having this problem? It's just basically for us to get a foundation of what you're running. That way it's easier to know what commands you should be using or what looks right and what looks wrong. And then we'll ask what's the problem and what have you tried. Super simple. All right. So this is an example of how I would post it on the forum. Hey, support L1 tagging us. Please help my node won't sync. You post those questions. You post the environment or the parameters of your build, or what you're using on your CLI, if you will. And then you tell the problem and what you tried. Fill out as much information as possible. If you don't know these or you're not sure, it's okay. Just leave it blank or put I don't know. But the more information we have, the easier it is to help. All right. So I'm gonna hold off here for just a second, and we're gonna see if we can get some questions, just in case I'm going a little too fast or something. And we'll see where we're at. If you don't mind, please ask them in the chat, and it'll just be a little bit easier for me to answer them there for now. All right, I see somebody typing, so I'll give it just a second, and then otherwise I'll move on. All right, it's just a bunch of love for Subspace. Perfect. Let's get back into it then. All right, so how are moderators different for support? That's going to be a quick thing we'll just sort out. Moderators are typically just there specifically to do those, I don't want to say disciplinary things, but that's the best way to describe it. Deleting spam messages, banning or suspending malicious accounts and messages. You can tag any one of these moderator tags. Somebody will be there to help you. The easiest one is going to be this middle one. Just tag community mod. The community mod is going to be the ones that have been recently added to the Subspace family and team. Official moderators are usually going to be moderators that are already a actual staff member that have been with Subspace for a long time, and sometimes lead ambassadors and ambassadors. Okay, but either way, if you tag one of these, we'll be able to help you get rid of those people that are making our community taking it down a little bit. Okay. So for these public community calls, we've already discussed this, but let's just go over it one more time again. Subspace's end goal is to basically be community owned and run. As time goes on, the community will continue to empower, improve, uh, and change Subspace to the way that we want it to be. But the team has done this in a very methodical and slow way to make sure that things have turned out well, which me personally, seeing it from the beginning where I started, I feel like it's great. They started the ambassador program with literally just about somewhere from about 6 to 7 of us. And I think we're well in the 30s now, 30 plus, even more than that. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but in the short time that I've been here, it is. So, and every cohort, there's been thousands and thousands more applications. So the ambassador program in general, as one example, is slowly increased and gotten huge. That's pretty much it from our support discussion. There's really not much else. Mostly just an emphasis on the forums, as I said. There'll be links here. I'll post this presentation for people to see if you want to look at it. Just get the links or whatever. These are just things that you should normally have. Some people might not have the forums. That's pretty much it. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to my ramblings. And again, we'll take a short little break here. if anybody has questions as we move on to our next presentation, which is going to be Salih and Kingsley, if they're ready. They're going to talk about a couple things. I'll let them, I don't want to spoil for you, so I'll let them do it.
You do have one question, Mike. It was from Visual Esme. Said, I already made some graphic contributions, but I was not chosen for this cohort of ambassadors.
So the question was, I've done some contributions basically to the Subspace community. I wasn't chosen for this first ambassador cohort. What are the chances that to become the next ambassador when the next cohort starts? Well, I will tell you this: when we're sorting through thousands and thousands of applications, we typically have looked at people that have contributed to the community first. It's basically just a huge step up for us. If you've already done things for the community on your own without being asked to do them, it just basically shows that you're here to help. You want to be here, and there's a significantly good chance that you will be selected as an ambassador, especially since each ambassador cohort is growing. So if we missed you on the last one, there's a significant chance you will get picked on this one. So thank you for that question. All right, any other questions? All right. Salih and Kingsley, would you like to unmute yourself?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can start. If you would please open the presentation. I can't do it on my phone. It would be really helpful if you could do that for me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, Mike, could you maybe for us open the presentation? I'm actually on my phone and I can't really open the presentation. It would be really helpful if you could just, stream the presentation for us.
Yeah, no problem. I can do that. Give me just a second here. Give me just a second here. Canva's just being a little. So, all right, I have the presentation open. I got to start it, but let me just confer with Diana for a second. For some reason, can you say something, Kingsley?
Yeah, what?
And I can't hear you now, but I know
Can
you're
you hear
talking.
me?
I can hear you, Kingsley.
Let me just get with Diana really quick for a second.
Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear you both, Mike and Kingsley, Justin, and Salih.
Mike, please, can you stream presentation? Can you hear me? I can hear you, but little quiet. Oh yes, I can see it from Emil. Can you guys see it from Emil?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Emil, for presenting the presentation, opening it. Yes, I am Sally, and first of all, I am excusing myself for maybe the noises in the background and maybe not the best quality on the headphones here. But yeah, I am like with Mike and the others from the first court of the ambassadors, and me and Kingsley are currently responsible for the engagement team, and we are doing collaborations with the community and individuals and looking for educational partners and try to make the engagement program for the Subspace ecosystem. Can you move the slides, please, Emil? Yes, thank you. So right now we are with the engagement process. We are following the strategies and try to make a community-wide conversation. We try on this way. We are going with educational games and expert sessions, and trying to do as much as possible fun games. And this is what we are currently planning at. And maybe we can move the next slide so I can explain a little more about those. So educational games and expert sessions is we want to do like more like bi-weekly sessions where we will invite various people who can explain for a couple of minutes, maybe 10 minutes, like some their expertise. Doesn't need to be like from the crypto area, can be anything. And we try to, just give the community a little more kind of, you can say, education. Maybe there's some things you can do especially, or you don't know, or you know something very special, maybe it's sports or something. You can have your own little stage time and explain everything so everybody can learn from it. Excuse me? Okay, maybe that was just random. Okay, yeah, we can move to next slide. So for first, the plan is, of course, we need the people to talk, and we need the generally the experts, and that's why we will put up a survey soon, and you can fill it out, and we will then schedule you and the expertise you have, and then we are very excited about what you guys gonna come up with. And yeah, and also we will do get some experts like the team, for example. We talked with some, and we might get them to talk about their job, their expertise. And of course, like we want to go also like not only intern community, we want to go outside of the community and probably get some real expert from any expertise, from the blockchain area or other projects who want to talk on the subspace, for the community. We can move to the next slide. Yeah, and then we want to also do, like, for more engagement in the community, some community fun games, mostly monthly or bi-weekly. It's up to us and how we can schedule everything, and then we will plan and execute those to, have fun around, have fun together with the community and get to know each other very well, And so we have many game ideas like video contests, poker games, picture contest, toss games. There's many different things we can do. We can do together as a community. There's really actually like very little limits. We can do a lot of things together to have fun, you know. And the next slide, please. And yeah, there will be a new discussion channel after this community call and a new announcement, especially for the engagement and for the task. And yeah, so you will always be up to date if anything is being scheduled or there is something coming up. Yeah, then probably next slide. Yeah, then that's it, and that's our presentation, our update. We would be happy to have some more interest from the ambassador for the engagement team. You can join us if you have cool ideas to make the community more engaging, more fun. So if you have interest, you can always contact us, and you know we can do schedule things together. So thank you for now. I'm very sorry. I have a very tight schedule right now. I have to leave right now the call. If there's any questions about anything, you can DM me anytime, or Kingsley, or of course the team, Diana, everybody. And I would from now on give back the stage. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Nectar. Thank you, Kingsley. It's always great presentations. So we'll give it just a second, as since Emil's already has his screen streaming, he can get his presentation set up since he'll be next. But in the meantime, if anybody has questions about their presentation, please let us know in the chat, and I will answer those questions. All right. It's not too many questions in the chat at the moment, so we'll just go ahead and let Emil start his presentation. Hey, Emil, how you doing? Can't quite hear you yet. Make sure if you have, if you are talking, is your push to talk working? I can't hear you right now. Let's confirm with one more person. Okay, so we can
Yeah,
hear
me
you.
too. Maybe he's on mute.
It doesn't look like he's on mute, but he should. You have to set up your push to talk if you haven't to talk in here. That might be it. In the meantime, let's let him set that up. But let's just talk a little bit about, who we are, I guess, and how we got here. So as I said before, my name's Alpha. You can call me Mike. I'm one of the lead ambassadors. And I'll just share a little story about how I found Subspace, to kind of give perspective on how different Subspace is from most projects, in a way. So normally I typically do research for a private crypto community, and my task is basically just to find interesting projects that are different, not clones, not copies, projects that are actually doing something completely new and different. I usually do that by getting into the nitty gritty and looking at grants, um, publicly, or I guess obscure awards and stuff like that, or just off. Sometimes you hear off mentions from key figures in the community. Like, just to make it easy, let's say Gavin Wood. Like, if he was to offhandedly mention about a project that he likes, it's probably worth looking at, right? So one day I came across Subspace on the Web3 Grant Foundation. Started going down the rabbit hole. I started talking to Justin just about our interest in crypto and how I got into it as a person. And it kind of just went from there, and for me, it turned from just researching a project to actually wanting to be part of it. So I've been in crypto for years, but just for some perspective on how much I believe personally in Subspace, this is my first ambassador program ever, or anything of the sort. Besides the private community I'm part of, this is the only other really community that I've just jumped in the deep end in. So with that being said, a quick little sweet story about nostalgia. I think Emil is back, so let's see if we can hear him. Give it the old college try, Emil. All right, we can't hear you. All right, that's not the biggest deal. Emil, what I'll do is I've seen you give this presentation before, and I kind of know a little bit what you're working on. So if you're ready, you can just click to the next slide, and we'll just start talking about this. We'll just work through it, and if I say something completely wrong, which I doubt I will, but I hope not, you can just stop me and say something in the chat. So Emil is one of our content, not one of our, he is the content lead for our ambassadors. Emil was also one of the first lead ambassadors, an extremely intelligent guy, and very friendly and helpful. If you ever just see him around talking, chat him up, you'll love him. So that out of the way, he's currently working on how to farm subspace for newbies. And that literally means it would be for somebody like me. When I started off, I wasn't very well versed in running a node or farming or anything like that. One of the things I actually was learning from Justin when we first got on was I was telling, or one of the things we talked about was how hard it was for me to try to start an Ethereum node, because at the time there was like no documentation. There was very little explanation if you didn't understand what the errors were. You do one little thing wrong and it doesn't work. And even when it does work, you're not sure if it does. So that's one of the things I know Emil was trying to address, making it simple and understandable, starting the process for people that are completely new to it. So I'll click on or we can look at the article after that he has there, but we'll go through the rest of this part of the slide, and then we'll circle back and let him click on that. So he's primarily been working on creation of educational materials for Apprentice ambassadors as well. So the ambassador program is pretty massive for us, because it ends up just giving more support to the community, and it just makes it overall a better space, right? So with that, though, you can't just have people that have typically no idea what's going on or don't understand Subspace on a deeper level than the regular community member. At first, it was kind of okay for us, because Subspace is new, and so were we. But as Subspace has gone on, it went from, if I recall, there was like a couple hundred people in the Discord when I joined, and now there's well over, I think the last time I checked, there was like 18 to 20,000. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, I'm sorry, tens of thousands of messages a day, a week, and it just keeps getting bigger. So that being said, it's important to get the new ambassadors up to speed. It's been a nice process though, because a lot of the ambassadors that have been onboarded lately, they have been very knowledgeable or helping in the community already. But for those that are just maybe not as technical, like for instance me, even these resources are fantastic for me. So he's provided materials with comparison to other proof of stake, proof of capacity, proof of archival.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mike, we lost you again. But I think you were saying that Emil just working on the new article. on comparison with other proof of stake, proof of capacity, and proof of archival storage protocols. So it will be much more easier to understand the difference between Subspace and other projects like RV, Chia, or Storage. And also we have our open workplace, ambassador workplace for everyone, and we have the educational plan. It's not perfect yet, but we're working on it. So if you want to learn more about ambassador program, or if you want more learn more about the educational plan, we have it open with a lot of materials and videos and so on. And Emil is also after of this educational plan, along with Jeff and other ambassador team members. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, also we had really great progress on the translation activity. Right now we have 100% quality check on website translations into Russian. I think that Ukrainian language is also almost done. The next languages in our queue is Vietnamese and Turkish. So if you know those languages, that really you can really help us with participation into website translations. So please reach out to our ambassadors if you want to help. And our current activity is article for how to install and run Gemini 2 node on different systems. It will be a really great and really simple guides, step-by-step guides, and also we'll have a lot of videos about it. So if you prefer videos, we'll have it. And deadline for all of that is actually the start of Gemini 2. And some of our ambassadors also working on the article how to leverage cloud providers in your region. So right now we have, if I'm not mistaken, some really big regions like China and Russia in our plan, but we probably will consider in other countries to include this country in this article too. And and also in our plan is to write an article on how to why you farm and farming rationale with a subspace. So yeah, I think that's all updates on the content side. If you're interested to write some content or maybe help us to, with visual materials, that's really great. And you can reach out to Emil specifically and work with us. Thank you. Mike, hopefully you can speak right now.
Surely can.
Great.
Discord does not like my key binding, apparently. Every time I hold it down for too long, it freezes, which is super weird. So I'm going to have to leave the chat closed for now. I don't know how much you heard of what I was saying for Emil's presentation. Can you give me a kind of rough idea where I got cut off?
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm assuming that I got cut off real early. So thank you for carrying that on, Diana. I appreciate it. And appreciate everybody holding tight with us as we work out the kinks. We typically do this on Google Meet, but we wanted to make it easier and more accessible for people to join. But with that comes, bumps in the road. So we'll make it better next time. We'll get some feedback and we'll just go from there. All right, so next we're going to move into our Apprentice Ambassador project presentations. So as we discussed earlier in the beginning of the call, we have some ambassadors. And just to clarify, when you join as an ambassador, there's a short period where you're labeled as an Apprentice Ambassador. And that short period is just to basically onboard you. As long as you're doing the work, meaning just following up with your mentor and who you're talking to, it's not a ton to ask. You do a project. It's a very short project. Some people have done very detailed ones, incredible ones. Others have done simpler ones, but still they contribute very well to our community. And then you move on to being a full-fledged ambassador. And that's just to make sure that the quality of ambassadors that we have is high. Every single person here was chosen because they've done a lot for the community. They're constantly supporting the community. And that's just the type of culture we want to cultivate here. at Subspace. So I'm super proud to be part of it. I'm super proud of the way it's how far we've come and how many more ambassadors we have. And there's no better example than our Apprentice ambassadors. So let us actually start. We have 3 today. I want to see if we can start with Big Jim. Let me see if Big Jim's here. He is. If you can
Hi.
unmute yourself, Big Jim.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
We sure can. If you don't mind, just a short introduction of yourself, and then you can go ahead and get your stream set up. I kind of know I just sprung it on you, so if you want to get your stream set up, and we can go from there.
Yeah. So I'm Jim. I'm Big Jim in Discord. I'm quite active on Discord, so there's a good chance you've seen me commenting on there. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes. All you have to, if anyone can't see a stream, just make sure you click on the watch stream button in the top left corner of the space station channel.
I'm gonna pop the link here in the chat quickly. I'll try. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I'm Jim. I'm an Apprentice ambassador, and as Alpha mentioned, as Mike mentioned, we were asked to produce a mini project. I decided to extend the existing Docker Compose setup we have to incorporate a monitoring stack. So what problem are we solving here? It's a nice way for users to see how their node is doing right now and historically over time. Someone's got their mic open, drowning me out.
I got it.
Okay, and the idea being that it's an improvement on having to interrogate the text-based logs to monitor the performance of your node. As I mentioned, we do this by extending the existing Docker Compose setup as available in the official documentation here. And we've got a GitHub repository where you can pull this, you can clone this and take a look for yourself. If you just, there's under the TLDR, getting started, if you follow this, you should be up and running in a few minutes. So how do we build our stack? We introduce some new containers. We introduce Grafana, which is a front end. It allows us to visualize the data being collected in a meaningful way. It displays a mixture of instantaneous data and performance metrics over time. We spin up a Prometheus container, which is where the various data sources are being drawn together. The data is scraped from these sources and it's persisted in Prometheus. And it presents the data in a common format that Grafana can understand and query. Finally, we use we introduce a node exporter container, which extracts hardware performance metrics. So this allows you to see things like your CPU load and your disk IOPS, anything and everything about the hardware, really. As I mentioned, there's a getting started guide here. Hopefully it's straightforward, but I will say that I'm open to comments and PRs if anyone's got any improvements. So without further ado, let's take a look at some code. Here's our enhanced Docker Compose. Hopefully this section here, all the way down to our second starred section, is quite familiar. It's the standard Docker Compose from the official documentation. And then we've got our Grafana container, our Prometheus container, and our node exporter container. We've got a couple of volumes for Grafana and Prometheus. So how does this all hang together? We have our Prometheus YML here. So this YAML file basically tells Prometheus which data sources to bind to or to listen to, or to scrape, actually. It's pulling from these. So we've got our Subspace node here. In the Getting Started guide, it explains that you have to make a small change to expose the metrics on port 9615 from the Subspace node. We've got node exporter. Again, that's all about your hardware. and Prometheus. We can listen to Prometheus to make sure that it's behaving itself and it's working as we would hope it should. We've got a provisioning folder here for Grafana. So when you bring the stack up, when you Docker compose up for the first time, our provisioning folder tells Grafana how what its initial state will look like. So the first thing we're doing is we're telling it that this Prometheus data source is where what we're interested in to grab the data. Secondly, we've got our dashboards folder here. So we've got a file that says this is how to configure the dashboards, and then we've got a rather unwieldy JSON file defining the dashboard itself. So let's take a look at some examples. So I've got a few nodes running here. So across the top, we've got our hardware. So this is the information that's coming from Node Exporter. So you've got some information about what kind of machine we're running on. Then we've got our validator stats. So these are coming from the Subspace node itself. So you can see items that you might see recognize from the log. So you sync target, you sync finalized. I actually paused this particular graph because I wanted to show you this. So this is quite interesting. In our sync progress here, we can see this is actually our best and finalized. You can't, because the graph is on such a big scale, you can't really see them apart here. But this is me catching up to the chain head. I stopped this machine so I could show the lines not just kind of running together the whole time, but this is us catching up to the chain head. You'll probably see that these steps up will coincide with our CPU usage here. We've got our memory usage over time. So we're back to some more historical rather than instantaneous data from Node Exporter. So how hard are the CPUs being hit over time? How much memory we're using, network in and out, disk usage, so disk space usage, disk IOPS, and IO utilization. Hopefully they're all kind of useful bits of information. This is version 0.1 of the dashboard. So any suggestions about what you'd like to see, I'm more than happy to hear. Okay, so I must say before I forget that Validator Stats, this has been inspired by Alan Yoon on Discord. He's got a credit in the repository. Essentially, he kind of inspired me to extend the dashboard that he produced, which it drives this section here. Take a look at another couple of notes. So this is a slightly beefier machine. Full disclosure, this machine is not just running Subspace. So really, this is the only section that's really honest. Here we can see because we're staying in sync, everything's just appears as one line. We can zoom in and you can see them separate. But you do get some pretty pictures. And then finally, I just want to touch on this is my poor Raspberry Pi, which should really be a melted puddle of plastic at the moment. It's got a spinning disk, which is the problem. So it's really trying to catch up, but it never quite did. It's got an awful lot of IO weight on the CPU. You can see there. Okay, so I just want to mention security. So this particular incarnation of the stack it's designed for use on a private network. So this is ideal for guys running on their laptops or their desktop computers where you're behind a firewall already. And the reason for that is that Docker uses IP tables to expose some ports. Do read the documentation, please. And if you've got any questions, come back to me. There is also a bare metal version. So JR Washburn, you may have seen him in Discord, has produced a bare metal version of this same stack. So if you prefer bare metal or you've got an aversion to Docker, or you just like rolling your sleeves up, do check out Jonathan's repository here. Again, it's linked in the README, the main README. And we're probably at time, but there are some coming soon to-dos. If anyone wants to help me with them or got any suggestions, please do get at me on Discord. Thanks very much.
Great, Jim. That was awesome. So you actually do have a question in the chat. Somebody just asked if they're able to monitor many nodes on the screen at once. Like you can, with just different tabs.
Yeah. So basically, we can, or the plan is that we'll have a drop down up here. So if you've got multiple nodes which we can collect from, so if we go back to our Prometheus YAML, so essentially we could set up multiple nodes to listen to, and then we can have a drop down up here maybe where we can select which node we're interested in right now.
Very cool. I know just for me in general, some of that data point when I was starting out and getting my nodes synced and stuff like that, that would have been awesome for me because I remember just not being sure if things were working the way they should be, so having this dashboard would be amazing. So thank you for doing that.
No problem. Thanks for listening. If anyone has got any questions, I'll try and catch up through the chat now.
At the moment, it looks like you just had that one question, and he just clarified after what I said. He just said I'm talking about thousands of nodes and not just one or two. So I would assume that is closer to the drop down menu that you're talking about.
So thousands of nodes. I mean, we how would you like to aggregate that? Again, maybe we could pick that up off the call. Thousands of nodes. Interesting. I guess really what you want to know is, are any of them in trouble, rather than drilling into individual nodes to start off with.
Possible, yeah. I guess he's actually one of our Apprentice ambassadors, so maybe he can follow up with you, clarify, and we can talk about it next time.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for that. If anybody has any questions that you want to wrap up, please let us know. Big Jim, if you can take up your screen sharing, and our next presenter will be Artem, our second of third Apprentice ambassadors. Artem, if you want to start setting up your screen, and then once you're ready, you can
Hello, everyone. 1 second.
no problem. How are you doing today?
You see?
See here. Yes, currently right now though, I see Discord. Okay, so you're sharing your whole screen. Just keep that in mind in case you have anything sensitive. But yes, we can see.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Artem. I'm 17 years old. I'm from Russia. Let's get down to my project. When I was an ordinary member of the community, I noticed that there are a lot of videos on YouTube of AMA sessions, interviews with Jeremy and Nazar, a lot of recordings of engineering team call. There are a lot of thoughts and arguments in these videos, but there are no separated filmed clips that described in detail aspects of the Subspace network, such as the consensus of the network, its scalability, description of how the project ignores and it does not obey the blockchain trilemma, and many other topics. I also went to note that the node of the project. This was my first node that I launched. I found the official guide on GitHub, but I didn't understand how to use it. So I launched that node according to the guide, which describes in very step by step that commands need to be set for the node to work successfully. Based on these problems, I proposed create a series videos that will be posted on YouTube. You can create 2 playlists in the official channel of the project. The first one will contain the so-called engineering videos. The videos will show which commands you need to insert into the command line, which application to use to launch the node. That is this step-by-step video guide for installing the node. Also the description of the video. There will be a text instruction that will copy the words spoken by speaker, plus contain commands to launch the node so that the user can quickly copy the comments and paste them into the comment line. Second playlist will contain informational video. In the videos, the speaker will talk in detail about important aspects of Subspace. For example, a story about the project concepts, what problems the project solves, and description of the network consensus. So how vertical and horizontal scalability works, how network security is maintained, and others. Each informational video will contain a presentation on the topic that is covered in the video. Engineering and informational videos will be released in languages that are popular among Discord users. These are English, Chinese, Russian, and other popular languages of the community. I recording such an informational video. You can go to it by scanning the QR code, in which I touched on such things as the concepts of the project and exemplification of the work of the network consensus, how vertical and horizontal scalability is implemented. As a source of information for the video, I use technical documentation articles by Jeremiah, Amos Sessions. Also, my video is accompanied by a presentation that I have prepared. The video is in Russian, so not all of you will understand its content. The release of engineering and informational video firstly will increase the audience for the project. Secondly, the video guide for installing the video will so increase the number of farmers. And thirdly, users who want to learn more about the project will be able to dive into Subspace. While studying the ambassador program course, I encountered the difficulty of translating many technical words from English into Russian. I had to read a lot of additional information to understand the meanings of words. Therefore, I have prepared a translation of Jeremiah's articles and the translation of presentation about blockchain and a translation about subspace compatibility. These the projects. You can go to Google Disk by QR code to see the translations. I also attached the translations to Notion in the education plan. Translation will allow new students of ambassadors who speak Russian to better understand the information. Thank you for your attention. I am ready to listen to your question.
Thank you, Artem. That was a great presentation. I missed the first time you said it that you were only 17, and that's pretty impressive. I could only hope to be that advanced then. So, two languages, skill out of this world. So, congratulations, man, to you. Keep any questions in the chat? We do have some people typing, so let's give them a second.
Okay.
As they're typing, let's just go ahead and get. We're at about hour 1. So we are going to be wrapping up before the next hour, and it's not going to be like a 3-hour call. Just so you guys know, we have one more ambassador presentation. We're going to move up the team's updates in the interest of time, so we have time to let them do their updates and ask questions. And for the rest of the call after that, we will have our Q&A. It's primarily going to be focused on what ambassadors can answer for you. However, there will be team members around and available if they are there to answer questions. And then we'll go from there if we have any specific topics we want to discuss. And then we'll wrap up the first public community call. Later in the week, I will be putting out a form just to get some feedback on how the call went, what can be better, was it easy for you guys to join, stuff like that. Just so we can get some of the bumps that we experienced out of this call and make it a smoother experience the next time. So The theme of the day has been not too many questions, but a lot of compliments, which is actually fantastic. I love compliments. So just a lot of people complimenting Artem on his hard work. And just in general, translators do a tremendous service to this community. Um, if you don't think you have anything else to offer but translation skills to your native language, please try to be an ambassador. Please try to apply. Or if you don't have time, just help out where you can, because it really has taken this community from just small parts of the world to global. And the more we can reach out, the more people, the more community members that can join. There's talented people everywhere, and they just need to be able to understand. So thank you for that, Artem. Next up, I am going to be playing. Skylar wasn't able to be here. He is one of our Apprentice ambassadors. So he has a presentation about a community Twitter account that I'll be playing in just a second here. We'll take questions after, and then we will move on to the team. All right, we got Skylar's up and running. I'm just going to pop this open. Have it in full screen, so if something happens, or just give me a shout if you can't see it or there's an issue.
Hello, Subspacers, GMNA. Good morning, night, or afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Skylar, also known as Skylar AFK. You might have seen me now. So today I'll just go over a few things. Basically, what is the purpose and goal of the account?
Yeah, I think we
what
can't
content we'll use,
hear
and how we
anything from
will
this video.
make it happen. So
yeah, it's not.
the purpose of the account. There's three main goals that we want to achieve with this Twitter account.
No big deal.
The first is to
I have
recognize
some of his
community
other
members
presentations
and
here really quick.
contributors. The next is to
let me just
educate.
I can hear it, yeah.
And the last
Can
is
hear
to
it?
entertain.
Correct.
Oh, sorry. Maybe it's just me.
No, it's not just you, because I can't hear it either, even though I'm the one playing it.
Contributions to the Subspace
So
network.
give me just a second.
We've had a lot of loyal members who have been creating memes,
let me
articles for a long
post
time
his,
now, and they deserve to be recognized for their work in helping Subspace spread their message. Education is the next one. We really want to help farmers, developers, and the wider crypto community learn about the technology of Subspace.
All right, so I'll just
and what problems it solves.
Again, if somebody can't hear it, just
last one is
stop me, 'cause
entertainment.
It is a 10-minute video.
This is really what's great about Twitter, is that there's so many different ways to
and I have
create
to have it in full screen.
Different types of content that are attractive to different types of audience. So I believe entertainment, education, and recognition will help garner support from our members and attract new members to the community. So what content will we use to accomplish this? The first one is educational threads. This is the first idea that we have, along with recurring content, something that happens on the same time every week or month, and then viral challenges. So for educational threads, we can write about topics such as the farmer's dilemma and how Subspace solves that. We can talk about proof of capacity and also free to shard. For recurring content, this one will really help us with consistency. One idea that we've discussed are these engineering video summaries that the team posts every week of the engineering team doing their meetings, talking about progress and accomplishments. I believe a summary of these meetings would be very valuable to people who are interested in the development of Subspace but don't have the time to watch those meetings every week. We could also do something like Ambassador of the Week. We could do any amount of X thing of the week. But Ambassador of the Week would kind of show, the person, the people behind the account, behind the community, and we could really highlight our top ambassadors and community members. Viral challenges, these ones have to be dialed in. We have to have a good headline, a good hook, something to attract people to the challenge, and then a call to action for what they should do and how they should share it. One idea that we've discussed and had several requests for is a meme competition. We already have a lot of creators creating memes now. So I believe if we had a competition specifically to be recognized in front of the Subspace community, that would really bring out the best meme game from our top memers. Another thing is we could do a challenge where you show your farmer setup. Especially when Gemini 2 gets launched. I tried to set up a farmer with a solar panel before, and we want to make these applications available to people on Raspberry Pis. We also have the people who are going to have large farms of hard drives. So it'd be interesting to see, and maybe we can theme it as the most unique or the most sophisticated farming setup. And an easy one, you see it, is React with a GIF. We could have specific news events like react with how you felt after Gemini 2 was launched, or you could do a wider crypto event like how did you feel after Three Arrows Capital went under, something like that. Something that people want to interact with and is shareable and can help expand our reach. So we've talked about the purpose and the content. Now let's talk about how we're going to get it done. So the approach. We'll talk about who manages the account, how the content is made, and how the account will gain followers. So at the start, I'll manage and I'll maintain it. We talk about having ambassadors, non-leads, not contributing more than 4 hours per week. And I believe this is totally attainable with a project like this. Of course, I will post a link at the end to recruit volunteers from the ambassador content team and other members as well if they wish to contribute. But that leads into how the content is made. And I believe this is a new approach that will really be beneficial. And it is to accept ideas and proposals for content by anyone in the community, not just ambassadors or team members. We really want to know what people are, what they want. What kind of content do they want? What kind of education, entertainment do they want? So being able to accept ideas directly from the community or anybody will give us a better accuracy on serving people with the content that they want. So who manages it, how the content is made, how will we gain followers? I think it'd be really valuable to start off by pre-making a month's worth of content. There's a lot of risks with starting a new public project like this in getting enough commitment, getting consistency, and all of those things. If we can decide on what content we'll make ahead of time and then pre-make a schedule for 1 month, I believe this will give us a strong launch, and it will also help us work with the team to retweet the best content onto the Subspace Network official Twitter account, which is approaching 10,000 followers. The combination of this two will ensure that we have high quality content and that the best content is shared with relevant readers. And then over time, consistency is going to be a big thing. Our followers have to know what to expect, and they have to have something to look forward to. If we do a meme competition, then on Friday or at the end of the month, they will look forward to seeing which one is the top meme. Same thing, we do like a weekly educational thread. Be like, okay, what can I learn about Subspace today in under 5 minutes? So these are the ways that we will approach it for now. Finally, so we talked about the content being proposed by the community members themselves and executed by people who either propose it or the ambassador content team. But I want to talk about recruitment. And I want to talk about why you should want to get involved. And there are two main reasons. The first is to gain experience, and the second one is for recognition of your work. So with the contributions to the Subspace community Twitter account, you'll be able to practice and showcase your copywriting and design skills. So practice is good, but getting in front of a live audience, getting in front of real eyes is really going to make you put your best stuff forward. Say practice makes perfect, but it's really perfect practice makes perfect. So this is a good opportunity to do that in front of a live audience. For ambassadors, I believe this is the best way to make the most out of your 4-hour week. You'll be able to network with other ambassadors, work together on projects, really impact the growth of the Subspace community, and work on your skills as well. So not to mention recognition, this is a good way to make sure that your time is used very efficiently. And that is the internal goal, I would say. And for community members, we're accepting ideas, proposals, contributions from non-ambassadors, non-team members. So this would be a good way to network, to work with members of the Subspace community and get your foot in the door. 10 years from now, most jobs are going to request, 3 years of DAO experience or NFT industry experience. This is a good way to get started on that, and get some resume items and at least just get the practice. So experience and recognition, of course. This is an opportunity to put your personal touch on the Subspace community. We don't want to filter out your contributions to match like an overarching theme. Of course, we want to have things look consistent, but if you have a certain spin to your writing and your design, that'd be very valuable here. We want this to be community made. So this is an opportunity to put your own skills and showcase them, and help form the Subspace community. Of course, recognition is to be credited for your work, and we will have that shared to our community of 10,000 Subspacers on the official Subspace Network profile. So next steps, what do we need to do? We need to gather ideas, solidify the ideas, plan their distribution. I have a form that I'll share at the end of this, which has different criteria for how to submit an idea. Would love to have all of your ideas in there. Once we have those, we'll solidify which ones that we want to include for distribution. So we'll schedule out the first month, and then with that, we'll work with the team to figure out which ones will be the best for retweeting. And then we'll have our launch ready to go. So if you'd be interested in contributing, I will share these links below in the chat. We really love to have your application. All of your contributions would be very welcomed, encouraged. And I think this is a good opportunity to leave your mark, and really appreciate it. If you have any comments, feel free to DM me, Skylar AFK. We're wide open for you. Otherwise, look forward to seeing your ideas and applications. So thank you very much for your time, Subspacers. Have a good rest of your day.
All right. So that was one of our Apprentice ambassadors, Skylar. He wasn't able to be here today, but he just wanted to encourage everyone, as you heard, to join the Twitter account, help the community spread the word. The links are in the chat. I fixed them, I believe. And then if you have any questions, you can reach out to Skylar if you want to help him or contribute in any way. Okay. So now on to the next section, which is going to be our updates from the team. This is going to be led by Jeremiah. He is one of the founders of Subspace, along with Nazar, who is also here today. But I believe Jeremiah will be doing the talking. So let's check to see if Jeremiah is here and ready.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Surely can. Good morning, Jeremiah. Good to hear from you.
Awesome, great.
So for everybody that
hello everybody. My name is go ahead.
Oh, stealing his thunder. Never mind. I'm gonna be quiet and let Jeremiah do his thing.
No. Go ahead, Mike. Take your time.
No. All I was gonna say is I was basically about to introduce you the way that you're about to introduce yourself, but we all know ourselves the best, so I'll let you do it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name's Jeremiah. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Subspace Labs. I'm going to give you guys some updates about what's happening, some recent changes, and some new things that are coming down the line with Subspace. First, I'd like to say big thank you to Mike for leading this community call. You're doing a great job. Really excited to see the ambassadors taking over more of the community process. As you said, we are really trying to not own this project and to make it community owned, but have a smooth transition to that. So big thanks, Mike, and all the lead ambassadors and all the ambassadors, of course, for all the help. It's been very pleasing to see the growth of the program and the transition of the program, and just the quality across the board has really been great. So thank you, everybody. Also really excited by some of these Apprentice ambassador projects that we're seeing, that we saw today. And I know there's many others that have been worked on as well. We just don't have the time to go through all of them today. So great work, everybody. Please keep it up. So obviously, we're going to be starting Gemini 2 incentivized testnet next week. That's going to start on Tuesday. So we are going to be having office hours on Tuesday of next week instead of Wednesday, like we normally do. And that is actually going to start at the same time that the incentivized testnet is going to launch. So that's going to be our kickoff party. Now you can still run your node, start your node, connect to the network well before that. There's no need to wait to start at that time. We're just not going to enable rewards until that time. And at that time, I'm also going to be giving an overview of the new incentive model that we're going to be having for Gemini 2, which has already gone out in some of the announcements that we've been putting out this week. And go through that in a little bit more detail and answer questions from the community about that. So if you're interested in learning more about the incentive model or what the plan is for Gemini 2, please attend that. We'd love to get everybody's questions and feedback. It's also going to be a great opportunity for new community members coming in to be able to get help and support from our existing community to set up their node if they're having any challenges. On the development side, there is a lot that's going on, a lot on the back end, a lot on the front end, a lot across the board. I want to focus on some of the front end or maybe the user experience changes that are newer or that are going to be maybe coming out in the next few days and weeks. So the first thing I'd like to say is that we have been working with the team at Subwallet, and we are now using Subwallet as the primary wallet for Subspace. So you can still use Polkadot.js extension. That still works fine, but we're really encouraging everybody to use Subwallet instead. And they have been working with us hand in hand to get Subspace integrated with their default wallet, which is kind of a substrate interoperable wallet between all substrate-based chains, all the pair chains and the relay chains and the solo chains. They've also been working on something really exciting, which is kind of like a custom wallet for Subspace, or what we're calling single chain mode. And they dropped some notes in our forum about that earlier in the week. So if you've got any comments there or any feedback, please drop it in there. But we're expecting to see that come out soon. So big shout out to Hugh and Ryan and Tony and everybody at the Subwallet team. I really appreciate all your help and support, and excited to work with you. We've also been working with the Subscan team, and we have a block explorer, which we're going to be releasing soon. We have a demo of it working now. We haven't shared it with anybody yet because we're still working on improving it. But we do have a block explorer now for Subspace. We're going to be updating it to have some more network-specific information, and we're going to have a release of that before the testnet starts on Tuesday, before the incentivized testnet starts on Tuesday. And just be looking forward to more changes and improvements as time goes by. We've got a lot of big plans for that. This is just going to be a very initial version of a block explorer, which will just give you block history and transaction history. And really for us, transactions are just votes right now, which is just kind of another reward. But it will at least give you the ability to search back in time and look at your account and see things in much more detail than you could on Polkadot.js. So be on the lookout for that. We've also been working internally on our telemetry server, our telemetry dashboard. We have been doing a lot of work to optimize the front end and even to optimize the back end to support more nodes. So we know that we had challenges once we hit 25,000 nodes on the network in the last testnet, that the telemetry server was not really able to keep up with that anymore. And we've been pushing a lot of changes, and we're expecting that we'll be able to support up to 100,000 nodes with telemetry going forward. And we're also adding some additional information to telemetry, so you'll be able to see some aggregate network statistics, like how many reward addresses there are and how much space pledged there is, which is going to help a lot with tracking the progress for the different milestones for Gemini 2. One other exciting thing that we've started working on, we don't have anything to show yet, but maybe in the next few weeks we will, is we have been working on a new SDK for Subspace. So before we've really had two things. We've had a CLI, which is really just the substrate CLI, plus the farmer CLI, which you have to run in two different terminals, which can be a little bit of work for some people, and it's a little bit hard to do. We also have Subspace.js, which is our sort of developer storage API, which is really just for adding objects to the network. And what we've tried to do is simplify that a little bit even more. And we're working on a new SDK we call a wrapper SDK, which is just going to wrap the node and the farmer, or the substrate client and the subspace farmer, and expose that over just a very generic programming API, which would allow you to start a node, sync a node, start a farmer, sync a farmer, plot some space in a very simple way. And then we're initially going to expose that over Rust, and we're going to write a new CLI in Rust, which is going to be kind of like a meta CLI. So you wouldn't have to run two CLIs at the same time in two different terminals. You'd be able to run one CLI. And that CLI is going to be like an application built using this SDK, which we're building internally. And this SDK is going to make it much easier for other developers to build other applications on top of Subspace, or compose maybe more backend services out of Subspace. So initially, this is going to be in Rust. We are planning maybe in the next month or so, hopefully, to have a TypeScript binding of the SDK and also a TypeScript version of the CLI. And we're trying to really kickstart more community involvement and ecosystem involvement on the development side without having to really know a lot about Substrate or the internals of our consensus or even Rust, which is why we're going to try to be doing this in TypeScript soon as well. Yeah, so those are some of the main front-end updates. And then on the back end, we are mainly working on a new upgrade for consensus. We're calling it Consensus v2. So we've talked a little bit about this as SSD-friendly Subspace, which is a variant of the consensus protocol, which is going to be more built with the SSD user in mind. It will still work on hard disks or HDDs, but not for very large plots, and it's not going to be as efficient as it would be on an SSD. And we're going to be releasing an article in the coming weeks to describe this in more detail. And also we're working on, we have a new specification, which we've outlined internally. We've already started working on implementation. And our plan is to release this new consensus in line for Gemini 3, which we're roughly looking at early December, late November as a launch for Gemini 3, which is going to be the final phase of our incentivized testnet, which is going to prep us for our mainnet launch, our mainnet beta launch following that. Last thing is we've got some new team members joining soon. So we've got three new full-time hires that are going to be joining the team in the next few weeks. We've got Anastasia from New Zealand, who's going to be our people ops manager. We've got Natasha from the Dominican Republic. She's going to be joining as a front-end engineer. She did a great take-home project for us, built a really interesting application on the Subspace using Subspace.js. And then we've got Parth, who is going to be our integrations lead, and he's going to be leading a lot of our bridging initiatives, building bridges to other ecosystems, which is really important for interoperability and cross-chain messaging, cross-chain data availability, which are all really important use cases for Subspace as we get closer to our mainnet beta launch. All right, those are the main updates I had. I could talk more, but in the interest of time, I'm going to stop there. And I think that's it from the team. So I can pass it back over to you, Mike. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So I really appreciate those updates. Unfortunately, due to the way that just kind of the way that the call ran the first time, little bumps and bruises, we kind of went a little bit over time. We didn't really want to go over an hour and a half. However, we still want to try to get those the Q&As done. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the call here. We'll move the questions to an offline format this time. Next time we'll have the goal of maybe speeding it up a little bit or shortening some of the segments. That way you can ask questions in real time. But just to wrap it up, I'd like to say thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for helping us work out the kinks of this first public community call. For almost the entire hour and a half, we had about 71 people. And all the way up until it, we were still in the 60s right now when we're ending. So that's quite a bit of people to listen to some nobody from nowhere like me talk. And so we appreciate it. Thank you from the ambassadors. Thank you from the team. Going forward, we typically would try to do these public community calls once a month. There will be significant forewarning ahead, just like the office hours. You'll know it'll be scheduled. Next time we will probably have an agenda listed publicly, meaning you can see what's going to be talked about. You see if you want to join at a certain time, if you don't have the entire time, or if maybe there's a question you want to add to it, we'll do that. And as I stated, I'll get a feedback form out just to see, what people thought, how we can improve. The goal is it's not going to be perfect every time. It's not going to be perfect the next time, but we want to incrementally improve the experience for our community every single time. So with that, I'd like to say thank you for joining the call. Hope everybody has a great day. And we will be available. We'll tag everybody in a certain channel. I'm not sure which one it is now. Probably just here, as long as the space station channel stays open. If you're not sure how to access that, just if you're on a computer, you can scroll up to the space station where the voice thing is. If you hover over it, it should show an open chat. If you're on your uh, mobile or anything like that, you should just see the open chat thing too. So if you open chat, you'll be able to see it. Okay. So again, thank you everyone for joining, and hope to see you next time.